All right, let's dive right in. Look, there is a battle being waged for your attention literally every single second of every single day, and the result is something we're going to call the AI brain. We're going to break down exactly why you can't seem to focus, what all this tech is doing to the actual hardware in your head, and, most importantly, how you can start to fight back.
No, seriously, just think about it for a second. If you're kind of struggling to remember, trust me, you are not alone. That little twitch, that itch to check your notifications, that feeling that you might be missing out on something important, well, that's just a symptom of a much, much bigger problem. It's a huge sign that our ability to just sit down and sustain deep focus is, well, it's vanishing. And this right here is the core issue, the AI brain crisis. This isn't just about being a little bit distracted at work. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of our neural circuits. We're literally training our own minds to crave these constant, tiny, bite-sized hits of information. And in the process, we're losing the ability to do the deep, meaningful work that really, truly matters.
So, how in the world did we get here? Well, to really understand the problem, we've got to identify the villain of the story. And here's a hint. It's not the technology itself. It's how that technology has gotten so good at masterfully hijacking your brain's most primitive reward system.
This really gets to the heart of the addiction. Every single time you scroll, you're pulling the lever on a slot machine. Think about it. The first video you see is kind of boring, no reward. The next one is absolutely hilarious. Bam, huge dopamine hit. That pattern, that unpredictable, variable reward, is the single most powerful addictive force known to science. And it is exactly what keeps you glued to that screen. And here's what's so crucial to understand about what's happening inside your head. This constant slot machine game, it keeps your brain operating in the striatum. That's the ancient, reactive, fight-or-flight part of your brain. It never gets a chance to hand things off to the prefrontal cortex, which is like the brain's VIP lounge for logic and planning and deep thought. So we're basically training ourselves to just react all day instead of actively Okay, so now let's talk about the consequences, because this isn't just some temporary state of mind. This constant stimulation has real physical effects. It is actually changing the very structure of your brain. And this is a brilliant way to think about it. It perfectly illustrates this idea of neuroplasticity. Your brain isn't some fixed object like a stone. Nope, it's a dynamic, living garden. The pathways, the connections inside it, they grow based on what you do, what you think about, and where you put your attention. You are the gardener of your own mind. And, just like any good gardener, your brain prunes away the stuff that isn't being used, just to save energy. This whole process is called neural pruning. So if you're constantly using the pathways for quick scrolling and swiping, your brain builds a superhighway there. But what about the pathways for deep focused reading? If you stop using those, your brain literally deletes those connections. It's the ultimate use it or lose it system. And the result of all this pruning is a condition we can call attention sarcopenia. You've probably heard of muscle sarcopenia, right? It's the wasting away of physical muscle from not using it. Well, this is the cognitive version of that. It's not that you've become bad at focusing. It's that you may have simply pruned away the very hardware you need to do it.
So, our brains are being physically rewired for distraction. And just when we thought it couldn't get any crazier, we added modern AI to the mix. This creates a whole new problem called AI psychosis. AI models can spin up these hallucination loops, feeding us the perfect content that just confirms everything we already believe. So what happens? We stop doing the hard work of thinking for ourselves. We just become passive consumers, and our brain's internal attention bouncer gets way too tired to spot the flaws in anything we're taking in.
So all of this leads to this constant, dramatic battle for control happening right inside your own head. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a hospital soap opera. On one side, you have your prefrontal cortex. Let's call it the exhausted chief of surgery. It wants order, it wants long-term planning, and it wants to solve complex problems. But on the other side, you've got the striatum, our inner toddler. And what does the toddler want? It wants candy, dopamine, and it wants it now. Every single time you pick up your phone to avoid a difficult task, the toddler just took over the entire hospital. Have you ever felt that classic sense of brain fog? That feeling of mental confusion where you just can't seem to think straight? Well, that's not some random feeling. That is the literal sound of the chief of surgery being overpowered. It's the chaos you get when the toddler is running the ER. Okay, I know. The situation might seem a little bleak right now, but the good news is you can absolutely stage a counterattack. You can get that surgeon back in charge of the hospital. And here's exactly how you do it. The strategy is built on a really cool principle called hormesis. You've probably heard of it for physical health. Things like cold showers or fasting create a small stress that actually makes the body stronger. Well, we can do the exact same thing for our minds. We need focus hormesis, these small, intentional challenges that start to rebuild our atrophied cognitive muscles. So how do we actually do this? With a pretty simple 3-step dopamine detox. Step 1, create a boredom window. Seriously? Next time you're standing in line, don't reach for your phone. Just let your mind wander. Boredom is where creativity is born. Step 2, practice analog mornings. Just keep your screens off for the first hour of the day. This puts the surgeon, not the toddler, in charge from the get-go. And finally, step 3, deep work sprints. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Focus on one single task, 0 distractions. I'll be honest, it's going to feel really hard at first, but that's the feeling of your mental garden growing back.
And this is why it is so critical to reframe how you think about all this. Your attention isn't just a skill. It is the most valuable currency you have. Every moment you spend mindlessly scrolling, someone else is monetizing your focus. They are getting rich by draining your cognitive wealth. And the stakes here are incredibly high for all of us. I mean, whether you're a student trying to study, a parent trying to watch your kid, or a professional making a critical decision, you cannot afford to have a glitchy focus. We all need our chief of surgery to be alert, in command, and completely focused.
So let's just recap the key takeaways here. Remember, number 1, scrolling is a dopamine slot machine designed to keep you in your primitive brain. 2, neural pruning is very real. If you don't use your focus, you will literally lose it. 3, this new wave of AI psychosis risks turning all of us into passive consumers of flawed information. And most importantly, 4, the path back is through focus hormesis. You've got to use intentional boredom and strategic constraint to rebuild your mind.
And I want to leave you with this final thought. In an age where AI can know pretty much everything, access to information is no longer the bottleneck. The real challenge, the great filter that is going to separate success from failure in the coming years, is something much more fundamental. It all comes down to a simple question: who can still control their own mind enough to actually think?